And so now I'm going to invite Nikki Lodico and Jack Meyers to the podium to give our closing remarks.
Thanks, Andrea. I wanted to I was reflecting on, in a sense, the differences that we all face from 30 years ago when there was the last conference about Foundation archives. At that time, the organizers faced a real challenge. Foundations are not organizations that naturally think historically. And I think this is partially because of the kind of things Darren was talking about this morning. The very things that give foundations their freedom, their lack of customers, their lack of patrons, are the things that kind of inhibit that. I mean, if you think about it for a minute, no corporation could stay in business if it didn't think historically, if it kept making the same mistakes over and over again without learning from them. And no nonprofit could continue in existence if it kept making the same mistakes over and over again. The patrons would simply stop giving money or coming to their events. Foundations, on the other hand, can make the same mistakes year after year, decade after decade, and still be just fine as long as they have a good investment manager. Right? So there's no internal imperative to think historically in foundations, and this was sort of a challenge for the first people who began to try to talk to foundations about their archives and why history may be important, to really tell them there was something that could be learned from their past, and whether it was their mistakes or their successes, and that was a challenge. And another challenge was historians, on the other hand, had to be convinced that there was something valuable in Foundation archives. Right? Not a lot of people showed up at the Archive Center in its first decade or so of existence. It just wasn't an area of much interest. But these were things that conference really tried to tackle, kind of to make the case on both sides, that Foundation archives had a value historically and that historians could learn from those archives. What I found fascinating today is that we've kind of taken it as a given that these archives are valuable historically. There hasn't been a lot of discussion about that. And that's a real sign of progress, I think. That I feel really good that's happened in that time. So I just wanted to add just a few words. We're near the end, and I'm going to skip the rest of this. But I do want to thank everybody for today. The organizers today, Andrea and Bob and Hyan and Elizabeth have done a great job with this. And Nikki and your team, it's been fabulous to work with you on it. And the Ford Event staff has turned in a great big. But I also want to thank all of you for taking the time out of the press of immediate business to come here today and to spend a whole day thinking about this together. I hope it's not, as Darren said, I hope it's not another 30 years till we do this again. But I think there's still a lot of challenges out there. And today I think we focused on many of those challenges. A lot came from two words that didn't even exist 30 years ago. I look back, the word digital records did not appear in the proceedings in 1989. But they themselves present huge challenges, both for your organizations and for us who are involved in running an archive for researchers. So I think it's these kind of challenges, the things mentioned today about contextual issues, how to give context to all this stuff we're producing, and whether that's through oral histories or linkages to other kinds of information. I mean, this is a real challenge, and it's one that'll be really, really interesting to see how people are tackling in the coming years, and something I think we can really look at again. I think a lot of the issues that we face in archives today are not really going to go away. I mean, the challenges are always going to be challenges. There aren't simple answers to all this. If there were, we could have sent you all a booklet and we wouldn't have had to have this conference. But I think it's something that as a community, we can really discuss these issues together and move towards solutions, probably not single solution, but many solutions to this. And that's what I think the value of this sort of meeting is. And I really hope we can do it again. So thank you very much for all of this.
I just have a few things to add, and one is that I have had the great good fortune of working with Jack and his team since 2011. Wow, it's been quite a journey, and it has been an amazing learning experience and an amazing partnership. I can't say that I've ever had a better partnership with another colleague organization. It's really been fantastic, and many of you in this room know that the Ford Foundation has been very happy to share what we've learned the hard way. And I invite you all to continue to be in contact, because that's something that we're very willing to do and feel that we're obligated to do for the sector. And we take that very seriously. I just want to share a few sound bites from today. First, you have to, or you want to, keep records that tell your story. But doing this isn't without risk. Unfortunately, risk is an ever-changing landscape. That one terrifies me slightly. Be flexible. We heard that, I think, in just about everyone's presentation. Email has caused major disruptions in how we record our work. I think we all feel that universally. We need to start paying attention to data sets, which is an emerging key challenge for records managers and archivists. And I don't know that anyone has any answers, but academia may be able to teach us a bit about what they know. Oral history presents an enormous opportunity to record an organization's history. We're learning that now, working with Eric and his team. We've recently gone through the opening of oral histories that were recorded in the 1970s, and wow, some of them were really wow. But definitely worth the wait. And then partnership. Great work is happening in the sector, and I think we should continue to support each other and to champion this work. And lastly, I want to say that Darren Walker does not say what he doesn't mean. So I'm going to take him up on his gracious offer this morning of sponsoring a continued discussion about archives and records and philanthropy, and I hope to see you all at our next meeting.